The Opal camo might just be the most tedious mastery camo to obtain in Black Ops 6 Zombies. So I put 3 of the best camo grinding strategies to the test, and I figured out exactly what is the most efficient way of grinding out the Opal camo. And believe me, there is one strategy that rules them all. As always with these analytical videos, be sure to use the chapters below to skip to whatever section you're most interested in or to the end for the final results. Enough chit chat, let's get into our very first strategy. One of the most popular strategies I've ever heard on the channel. Everybody talks about the Citadelle Oil Trap Strat. For this strategy, all you need to do is activate the oil traps on either side of these walls and then make sure you throw a Molotov in them. The Molotov will set the oil on fire, and through some magical game code that allows you to not only get critical kills, but deal a whole lot more damage depending on how ranked up and upgraded your weapon is. If it is upgraded enough, you can insta-kill literally everything, including special enemies and amalgams. So not only is this fantastic for headshots, because everything that dies from this oil trap counts as a headshot, including with your knife. If you hold your knife out, it counts as kills towards your knife. But how good is this against special enemies? Well, like I said, it insta-kills special enemies, so whatever doppelgas spawn in during your game, it's gonna deal with them. And for this strategy, I played an hour of Citadelle I got to round 50, which is a really good time for round 50, because in one of my recent videos, I got to round 50 just using my regular weapon, and that took me about an hour and 45 minutes. So this is a pretty fast strategy, at least for getting through the rounds. When it comes to how many special enemies we killed, as you can see, in that hour, we killed 53 special enemies, which gives us a total of 53 special enemies per hour, which is pretty good. That's almost 2 opals per hour. I did classify this as a medium difficulty because it does take, at least some semblance of skill. You need to make sure you have Molotovs. You get like Vulture Aid so you can replenish your Molotovs. You need to stand in this corner without taking damage, which at times can be pretty finicky, and especially in the later rounds after round 30 or so, you're going to get parasites shooting at you, and that can be sort of annoying at times. But then again, I was using a sniper rifle, so in the grand scheme of things, it's not actually that difficult, but it is a little bit more difficult and involved than the other strategies that we're about to go over. That being said, I understand why everybody likes this strategy because it is really fast. And admittedly, I didn't try this in directed mode. I just thought of it just now. I wonder if you get a doppelgast every round at round whatever the round cap is. It still might be 11, but then would you run out of Molotovs? Interesting. I might need to test that out, or if you beautiful people have done it, let me know how that works. Because our next strategy is doing the Liberty Falls directed mode strategy. All this is getting to round 11 on the Liberty Falls directed mode, and specifically I set up this game so that way when I saved and quit and I re-entered the game, I wasn't on a bug round, because you beautiful people were much smarter than I was a while ago when I tested out this Opal strategy before. You said that if your first round back is a bug round, you are not guaranteed a mangler spawn, which is true. If your first round back isn't a bug round and it's just a normal round, not only will you never get bug rounds, but you will always have a mangler every single round. And heads up, you were right. And as a result of that, you can see I did another 60-minute session just camping on the rooftop on that bank. I got 67 special enemies, 67 rounds, 67 manglers, 67 specials per hour. In terms of difficulty, this one is insanely easy. Way brain dead easy. This has been the go-to strategy for grinding out specifically Opal and Nebula camos at round 15 a little bit later. We'll get to that eventually. But the other reason why I like this strategy is because of how easy it is. You can really use terrible weapons and go for like headshots on those other weapons. You can get the Afterlife 20 kills in a row without getting hit with the other weapons very easily. You could still do that very well in Citadelle. I can't wait to cover those camos there because that Citadelle strap is crazy. But you do take more damage in Citadelle, and it gets a little bit weird sometimes, at least compared to how easy Liberty Falls is. So if you were worried about the Liberty Falls directed mode being bad or some hidden catch behind it, no, it's really good. That being said, there is a strategy to rule them all. If you are straight about efficiency, you want as many Opal camos as quickly as possible, we have a brand new winner, and it's even crazier than you might think. This is the Tomb Eye Staff Lockdown strategy. If you don't know, when you're setting up for the tomb, once you get the monocle at round 8 and you align the etheric lanterns in the right spot, you shoot all the Roman numerals, you start a lockdown. This lockdown consists of 5 waves. The first wave is always regular enemies, regular vermin, parasites, zombies, whatever. The second, third, fourth, and fifth lockdown always spawns in a special enemy. In and of itself, that is a beautiful strategy, and it's what I use to finish off my Opal camo grind, because those special enemies coming in at round 8, having 5 rounds, it's about 5 to 10 per each one of these lockdowns. It was fantastic. However, it gets even better, because what you can do 2, what is so interesting about this lockdown that I hope Treyarch never fixes, you can exit this lockdown, exit the room, and it will end the lockdown. And as soon as you return to the room, it will begin the lockdown again, which means that it will respawn those special enemies for you to kill over and over and over. Now, there is a catch to this. There is a balancing factor, and I think it's incredibly fair. This lockdown actually counts how many zombies you've killed per wave of the lockdown. So let's say on wave 2, there's like 5 enemies you have to kill. If you kill the special enemy, leave, deactivate the lockdown, re-enter the lockdown, it will start you again on wave 2, but now, because you killed that one special enemy, it will only give you 4 enemies that round. And if you do it again, kill a special enemy, exit, enter, the next time it activates, it'll only give you 3 enemies and then 2 enemies. So you do eventually progress through this entire lockdown. But that being said, you can essentially turn every single enemy within this lockdown into a special enemy. And how many enemies do you need to kill throughout these 4 waves of this lockdown? Remember, it's only the later 4 rounds because that first round is just regular enemies that you can't turn into special enemies. So the later 4 rounds have about 31 or 32 enemies. I went through my footage, I counted how many special enemies I managed to kill, and then I counted how many kills I had on the scoreboard before and after this round, and it was about 31 and 32, which means in theory, between both of these lockdowns, you could get 63 or 64 depending on, you might accidentally kill a zombie, you might accidentally kill a parasite or whatever, but you can get upwards of like 60 special enemies in a really quick game. For me, completing both of these took about 30 minutes. It might be a little bit more depending on the weapon, might be a little bit less depending on the weapon, plus the reset times. But as you can see here, the Tomb Ice Staff lockdown, 30 minutes, 60 special enemies results in over 126 technically special enemies per hour, which means you can get like an Opal camo every 15 or so minutes. Now, because you have 60 special enemies in the span of one game, you might need to load into the map, hit the mystery box, and upgrade those weapons to deal with those special enemies a little bit better. That might take a little bit of time. You might think, donuts, resetting takes a little bit of time too, because with the Liberty Falls directed mode, you could just have that save file going forever and ever and ever, which is very true. However, the benefit of resetting, well, first of all, getting to the Ice Staff lockdown really only takes like 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how fast you go. You can use the Rampage Inducer to just fly through these first 5 rounds and make it really fast. But then the RNG of the lanterns, I get it. It could be a little bit more tedious. However, as you're resetting, you could just switch to whatever weapon you want to use in the Create a Class menu, as opposed to the Liberty Falls directed mode where you have to spin the box until you eventually get the weapon you want. And eventually, you're gonna have so many Opal weapons in the box already, you're gonna want to reset anyway. Now, if you want to reset after the first Ice Staff lockdown, if you're only doing like one gun at a time, when I was doing this strategy and I completed that first wave of just special enemies, my game time was about 18 minutes. And so then if you add like 5 minutes of resetting time in the menus, or maybe even less if you're fast, 25 minutes per Opal camo is still better than these other strategies, including resetting time, and you get to choose whatever weapon you want to have. In terms of difficulty, it's a little bit more involved than Liberty Falls, but it's still pretty darn easy, and it's really fast. That being said, it might depend on the weapon. Obviously, launchers might be better with like the Liberty Falls directed mode, or just holding it out with the Citadelle Oil Trap Strat. But overall, if you are looking to crank out these Opal camos, the Tomb Ice Staff lockdown is easily the most efficient, fastest way you could possibly do it. So let's recap. The Citadelle Oil Strap is an excellent all-in-one camo grinding strategy, getting you headshots, afterlife camos, even Nebula sort of, but it kind of lacks with the Opal camo because you're just at the whim of whatever doppelcasts spawn in. It is the least effective strategy that we've tested today. The Liberty Falls directed mode strategy is the least stressful strategy on the list. It's not the most efficient, however, with certain things like maybe knives or launchers or even sniper rifles, you might want to consider having a save file with this directed mode strategy on it. Getting 2 Opal camos in an hour is pretty good. However, nothing quite compares to playing the Tomb and using the Ice Staff lockdown to maximize your special enemies. Leaving the ritual, coming back to the ritual, just killing the special enemy and resetting that ritual at its peak efficiency. You could get 126 specials per hour, if not more. It is a little bit more involved. It's not as brain dead as the Liberty Falls strategy, but being able to reset and use whatever weapon you want and rank it up in that game really quickly, it is hands down the most efficient way of grinding out Opal cams. And boy, am I happy to see it, because it was a struggle before the Tomb came out. Now, as you're grinding the Opal camos, you want to make sure you're having the right ammo mod equipped, and it would be nice to know exactly how those ammo mods work, because believe me, some of them do not work the way you think. Case in point, this video I cover Deadwire. Be sure to check it out and stay beautiful.